In the golden glow of a film set, Kay Walsh watched silently as David Lean orchestrated a scene destined to become legendary. Her eyes, sharp and knowing, followed every movement, every line, every subtle shift in emotion. She had shaped these moments, edited the dialogue, polished the very scripts that would define a cinematic era. Yet, outside the frame, the world knew her name little, if at all. How could someone so integral to greatness vanish from history's memory? Behind the accolades and the applause, there lay a quiet storm, a story left untold for decades. What secrets did she carry, locked away in silence? While the man she had helped to rise basked in unchallenged fame, Kay Walsh was more than just the woman beside a rising director. She was an accomplished actress, a gifted screenwriter, and the creative force behind some of David Lean's earliest triumphs. Born into a world that demanded resilience, she carved her own path through the unforgiving terrain of British cinema. From her early performances to her critical work on scripts like Great Expectations and Oliver Twist, she left an indelible mark on film history, though the world often overlooked her. Contributions, acclaimed in her own right, she held the talent, vision, and determination to shine independently, yet history chose to blur her presence. Behind her poised exterior, however, was a life of quiet battles, hidden sacrifices, and a story that remained largely unspoken, waiting for the moment the truth could finally emerge. Kay Walsh's journey began far from the glamorous lights of Hollywood or the historic grandeur of British cinema. Born into modest circumstances, she experienced both the warmth of family and the quiet sting of early loss, moments that shaped her resilience and determination. From a young age, she gravitated toward the stage, drawn by its promise of expression and escape, where stories could be lived, not just imagined. Early rejections and small roles taught her that talent alone was never enough. Perseverance and insight were equally essential. It was this relentless drive that led her to David Lean, not merely as a companion, but as a collaborator, whose keen eye for narrative and meticulous attention to detail would quietly steer some of his earliest works. Toward greatness, behind her calm composure lay a burning motivation: to create, to influence, and to be remembered not merely as an accessory to a man's success, but as a force in her own right. As David Lean's reputation grew, so too did the visibility of the projects Kay Walsh had shaped. Yet her own name faded into the background. She meticulously edited scripts, refined dialogue, and shaped scenes that would become cinematic landmarks, but the public rarely recognized her influence. With each film's success, the glow of acclaim shone brighter on Lean, casting her contributions into shadow. The sacrifices were subtle but profound: long hours behind the scenes, personal ambitions deferred, and the constant balancing act between her own creative voice and the world's expectation of a supportive spouse. While audiences celebrated the brilliance on screen, Kay navigated a private landscape of invisibility. Her professional identity intertwined with, yet overshadowed by Lean's fame. The irony was stark. She was indispensable to the artistry, yet nearly erased from its history, bearing the weight of achievements she could not fully claim. After the dissolution of her marriage, Kay Walsh retreated from the public eye, not out of shame, but from a quiet determination to protect her own sense of self. The world continued to celebrate David Lean's masterpieces, while she became a ghost in the corridors of cinema history. Letters and unpublished notes reveal a mind wrestling with isolation and unacknowledged labor, a relentless struggle to reconcile pride in her work with the erasure of her name. Friends described her life as a careful choreography of invisibility, choosing solitude over the spotlight, creating a private sanctuary where she could continue to write, reflect, and preserve her dignity. In this silence, she carried both sorrow and resilience, the duality of someone intimately entwined with greatness, yet forced to live alongside it as a witness rather than a celebrated creator. Kay Walsh spent her later years in deliberate seclusion, never remarrying, never seeking the public stage, yet her legacy quietly endured in the films she had shaped, in the dialogue she had refined, and in the stories that bore her invisible touch, the recordings she left behind. Along with the locked chest marked, "Read when I am gone," hinted at a life of untold truths, waiting for the moment history would finally acknowledge her voice. Though her name rarely appeared in the credits, her influence permeated the artistry that generations would come to revere. Kay's life was a testament to the unseen labor behind brilliance, a reminder that fame often illuminates only part of the story. In the quiet, she achieved a subtle immortality her work living on, her story quietly waiting to be discovered and honored. The story of Kay Walsh is a study in contrasts, the dazzling light of cinematic achievement and the shadowed corners of a life lived largely in silence. While David Lean's name shines across history, her contributions remained largely invisible, a reminder that greatness often relies on unseen hands. Her quiet endurance, the recordings she left behind, and the secrets held within her locked chest invite us to reflect on the true cost of brilliance and the lives that quietly shape it. What would the world have seen if her story had been fully told? What might we learn about the price of fame and the resilience required to navigate its shadows? Share your thoughts, honor the unseen stories, and remember that every masterpiece has echoes of lives that history almost forgot.